You're listening to Founder Frequency, the inner signal of the world's sharpest minds in business and leadership in brief. Pause. You ever wake up and just know something's off? Not in a bad way, just this quiet, nagging sense that the version of yourself you're showing the world isn't quite the one you feel inside. Like you're wearing a suit that fits, but the fabric is itchy and you're just waiting for the right moment to peel it off and breathe. I had one of those mornings last week, sat down at my desk, looked at my to-do list and thought, who is this person? The emails, the meetings, the strategic plans, it all felt like someone else's life, not in a I need a vacation way, but in a I need to redefine what work even means to me way. Now, I've spent years studying high performance, reading Brené Brown, dissecting what it means to lead with courage. And yet, there I was, staring at my reflection in the laptop screen, wondering if I'd lost myself in the grind. Brené writes in Dare to Lead, the courage to be vulnerable is not about winning or losing. It's about the courage to show up when you can't control the outcome. And I realized I'd been so focused on controlling the outcome, I'd forgotten to show up as me. Let me take you back to 2015. I was fresh out of a corporate job, ready to build something from scratch. I had this vision of what a founder looked like, confident, decisive, always on. So I put on that suit, even if it didn't quite fit. I spoke with conviction. Even when I was doubting, I made bold moves, even when I was terrified. And for a while it worked, but over time the suit got tighter, the mask got heavier, and the gap between who I was pretending to be and who I actually was grew wider. Here's the thing about identity and work. They're not separate. They're not, this is who I am and this is what I do. They're deeply intertwined. Your work is an extension of your identity, and your identity shapes how you work. So when you're not showing up authentically, it's not just your productivity that suffers, it's your soul. I remember a conversation I had with a mentor early in my career. She said, you can't pour from an empty cup, but you also can't pour from a cup that's not yours. That stuck with me, because it's not just about self-care, it's about self-truth. You can't give your best work if you're not being your true self. So how do you bridge that gap? How do you reconcile the person you are with the person you think you need to be to succeed? Brené's work on vulnerability is a great starting point. She talks about the myth of having it all together, the idea that to be a strong leader, you need to be invincible, unshakable, always in control. But the truth is, the most courageous leaders are the ones who can say, I don't know, or I'm scared, or I need help. I had to learn this the hard way. There was a point where I was so focused on projecting strength that I stopped being honest with myself. I'd look at other founders and think, they've got it figured out, why can't I? But the reality is, no one has it figured out. We're all just figuring it out as we go. And the sooner you embrace that, the freer you'll be. One of the most powerful exercises I've done is what Brené calls the rumble. It's this process of sitting with your discomfort, asking yourself the hard questions, and being honest about the answers. So I sat down and asked myself, who am I, really? What do I value? What am I afraid of? What am I pretending not to be afraid of? And the answers weren't always pretty, but they were real. And that's where the magic happens. Here's the challenge I want to leave you with. What's one area of your work where you're not showing up as your true self? Maybe it's in a meeting where you're afraid to speak up. Maybe it's in a project where you're pretending to be more confident than you feel. Maybe it's in your daily routine where you're following someone else's script instead of writing your own. This week, I want you to pick one of those areas and rumble with it. Sit with the discomfort. Ask yourself the hard questions and then show up as your true self, even if it's just a little bit, because the world doesn't need another version of someone else. It needs you, and your work will be so much better for it. So let's take off the suit. Let's peel back the mask. Let's dare to lead with our true selves, because that's where the real courage and the real magic lives. Well, to pause come rather. If today's reflection resonated, don't just keep it in your head. Live it, lead it, and share it. This is Founder Frequency.